And I know that you love to sip on tequila. Is that a tequila brand cocktail?
Clay, this is Celsius.
And we are moving into a very challenging time in our country. And we have been for quite some time. There is more competition. There are people being replaced with AI already. And somebody got mad at me one day. They're like, well, I'm in the service industry. I'm too busy to call people back right away. I said, well,
as am I.
And then like a few months later, this person, I asked her how her business was doing. She said, well, it's not that great. Hey, Jackie.
Hey, Clay.
Hey, welcome to our sixth, eighth episode.
We don't even know anymore.
Yeah, we don't know anymore.
We're just having
Anyway,
fun.
You look absolutely stunning today.
Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful.
You do too in that blue color.
Thank you.
I know people are going to think, hey, is this Clay in a wig because I'm in your spot? But, I wanted to switch it up today.
I know. I think switching up is fantastic. It gives us a little, different perspective when we're doing our podcast.
When we're just staring at each
When we're
other's
just staring
eyes
at each
in
other,
love.
I know. I feel kind of odd being on the left side, though.
Why?
I'm always on the right, but today I'm on the left. What's going on? What is going on? Tell me. What's going on? What was your week like?
Living the dream. My week was wonderful. Which I told you about. This has nothing to do with our show, but I was in a little bit of an accident. Someone hit me. It wasn't my fault, which I know everyone asked. They're like, oh, is it your fault? No. So I've been dealing with, injuries, which it's hard being a business owner because nobody can replace me.
This is true. Yeah.
So
I think I would be a one-man show
thing.
if I didn't have your beautiful face in front of me every
I mean, could
week,
you imagine?
No, I couldn't imagine. What are you drinking? Because you've been heavily drinking the drink since I walked in today, and I know that you love to sip on tequila. Is that a tequila brand cocktail?
Clay, this is Celsius. It's actually my favorite flavor. So it's essential energy.
I'll buy that.
It boosts your metabolism, burns body fat. Zero sugar, and this is my new favorite flavor.
Zero sugar. I'm gonna have to try that.
Sparkling cherry cola, and
amazing.
It legit tastes like a cherry cola soda. It
really does.
And here you think I'm sitting drinking alcohol.
I don't know.
Or THC during our podcast.
Exactly. Well, we'll loosen you up a little bit more. You
Celsius,
are so uptight when I'm with you.
Oh, so uptight.
So I've been thinking about venues, and I've been thinking about just how I interact with my clients lately, and how I go about obtaining and building a clientele for my business. Every time I open up a new venue, which when I say every time, I'm on my fourth venue. And I actually would love to have a couple more, 2 or 3 more in my career, what's left of it.
In your portfolio.
In my portfolio, correct. And I have mastered, and I don't have a big ego. Don't get me wrong. I don't. I'm very sure of myself, and I'm very sure of my capabilities.
But I'm going to stop you because I think it's okay to be proud without having the sense of you being cocky or thinking you're full of yourself.
Right.
You should be proud at everything you've accomplished, and I think that's okay. So
correct.
You've come a long way.
And I am. And, and everything is a learning experience, even if there is failure, which I never really believe in failure. I believe in it's just a learning experience to take you 1,000%. So anyway, that brings me to a great subject for our show is how do we obtain clients? How do we obtain clients? How do we build a clientele in not only the wedding business, the wedding venue business, but decor, a decor vendor owner, a catering owner,
cake,
hair and makeup,
everything.
Cake person, etc. All these different vendors that all work together in the industry to create somebody's special day.
Yeah.
Regardless of where they're from or, what city they're in, etc. I guess I kind of want to open this up with both of us because we're both in the aspect of sales because we're both selling our product. You're selling a material product and I'm selling an intangible product. You're tangible, I'm intangible.
I mean, yin and yang.
But it's the same thing. The end result is you want the quality. You want to really give that person 100% quality. And it all starts, and I've said this so many times in my career, people want to be I want to treat people the way that I want to be treated.
Agreed.
And that is the number one thing anybody that opens a business or selling a product needs to be in the forefront of everything. You put that at the top of the pyramid. That is where you start. And you never forget that.
And I think for me too, really anybody can do what we do.
Anybody can do what we do.
If you put your mind to it and it's something you want to do, however, you can't just open your business and expect people to come to you. And I think for me, I've met so many people along the way at markets and, even through emails, popping on a Zoom.
Which Marcus, shout out to Marcus, one of the most well-run corporations in the country, I believe.
I believe too, but also I said market. But we can talk about Marcus too.
Oh, Marcus.
Maybe.
Sorry,
Clay,
I forgot.
and
my God, I'm on the left side of you, and I've got my good ear towards you.
Do you want me to pass the Celsius to you for your metabolism?
No, pass me an earpiece. So I can hear you.
Yeah, shout out Marcus. They are an amazing corporation. But at
Oh, my
market,
God.
I've met so many people, and a lot of people say we're so excited to do business with
Right.
you because of who you are as a person. And I think too, with both of us too, which you'll have mistakes in your business. That's how you learn, right? As long as you own up to it and say, hey, I messed up, or what can I do to make this right? Instead of pretending something's not a problem. If you're honest with your customer, they're going to continue to refer you, continue to do business with you, continue to talk highly of you. So I think that's the biggest thing. People are afraid of making mistakes and trying to cover things up, but just own it.
I agree with you. So if we take that first thing, to be treated as you want to be treated, and that is something that I truly believe in my partnership. And that transfers with everything. That transfers into your personal relationships. That transfers with people you do business with. That transfers with friendships. It's something that I as I've gotten older, I kind of live by this now.
Yeah.
And it's almost my mantra.
Yeah.
It truly is my mantra. It's like, okay, Clay, you're getting really frustrated with somebody, but don't treat them in a poor way. And so that's number one in business.
Agreed.
Number two is response time. And I know that we touched on this before. And whether you own a decorating company, whether you own a catering company, whether you own a wedding venue, makeup stylist, etc., for weddings, for this industry, you have to have a quick response time. And we are moving into a very challenging time in our country. And we have been for quite some time. And not to get political in any way, it's just our climate where we are now. And there is more competition. There are people being replaced with AI already, jobs, etc. And, at some point, we will see a decline in the wedding business. I don't know how much of a decline of it, but somewhere. And people really need to start thinking now, how can they better their business? How can they stay in the forefront? How can they stay progressive? How can they, acquire more clients while people are making less money and people are not finding jobs and couples are saying, you know what, let's just go on a destination vacation rather than spending $15,000, $20,000 on.
Saying that, no, not even that, but destinations, people say, oh, we'll just do that. It's not that much cheaper.
No. And I was just throwing a matter
I'm
of fact
saying,
out there.
people think, oh, we'll just go run away and get.
True, you're right.
Actually, weigh the pros and cons.
Oh, honey,
of
I
it.
was talking about Peoria, Illinois. I'm not talking about Cancun or anywhere
Cana.
beautiful or Punta Cana.
I need a sip
Why
of
does
my
every time I say
Celsius
Punta
after that.
Cana, it sounds like a dirty word? Anyway, so reaction time. I can't stress enough. And somebody got mad at me one day. They're like, well, I'm in the service industry. I'm too busy to call people back right away. I said, well,
As am I.
and then like a few months later, this person, a business owner here in Milwaukee, says to me, I asked her how her business was doing. She said, well, it's not that great. You know what? I left it at that.
Yeah.
I already had expressed to her how important response time is. When somebody calls you, a bride, first of all, we've already touched on this in one or two of our episodes. When somebody gets engaged, 95% of the people engaged, the female, if it's a female or if it's two females, they become obsessed.
Obsessed.
Everything is wedding.
Yes.
I don't care what they're doing for work, if they're a doctor, if they're a lawyer, if they're a secretary, if they're running our company like Storymark Studios, which we're in. They're obsessed and they're thinking about their wedding.
Yes.
Things will remind them of it. And when they call somewhere, they want an answer quick.
Yeah.
They want an answer quick. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten calls from brides that say, hey, I tried to call this vendor. They're not responding to me.
I hear that all the
All
time.
the time.
My
And I
brides
think
will say, hey, thank you so much for getting back to me so quickly. It'll be 5 hours later, which is so crazy to me that they think, getting back to you is such a huge thing. But they will say, oh, I contacted this photographer, this so-and-so. It's been a week. I haven't heard back. And it's like, okay, then...
Yeah.
Then if you're the type of bride that needs that communication, I would say you're not going to align with that vendor and maybe try another one.
Okay, so here is the situation. Everybody can have an excuse why they can't get back to somebody.
Yes.
Everybody does. And I've had people tell me, oh, well, I was with a client. I've had a decorator say,
My
well,
dog had diarrhea.
I had a decorator tell me she was decorating a wedding. Well, you know what? My friend Amy that owns My Dream Centerpiece, shout out to Amy.
Shout out, Amy.
Guess what? Amy could be in the middle of decorating at La Toscana. Actually, it was Toscana, that beautiful Villa Toscana over in the right along Lake Drive, that beautiful one that overlooks the lake.
Villa Terrace?
Villa Terrace, yeah. There's a Villa Toscana, though, in Chicago,
You're
downtown.
in Villa Toscana.
Anyway, funny. So she picks up her phone. I had a question for her. She has her phone with her 24/7. Why? Because she does not want to miss a beat.
Yeah.
And I can't stress enough, when a bride sends me a lead, if I get a lead in my inbox and I'm up at 12 o'clock scrolling TikTok, you better be 100% sure. I was apprehensive quite a few years ago about texting somebody at midnight or 1 a.m. in the morning. But if a bride is searching, she might work second shift. She might work third shift. That 12 o'clock time that I'm calling her might be the time that she's waking up to go to work. Maybe she's a doctor. Maybe she's a nurse. Maybe she's a CNA. Maybe she works for a tech company.
Yeah, I usually do email DMs. You'll text me at 11 o'clock. I'm like, Clay, I'm done texting.
Well,
tonight. I'm going to bed.
honey, that's because you're 40 now, okay?
43,
When you were
thank you.
20, you would be up till 1 o'clock. I can text you.
True.
Okay, thank you. So, my point is that whatever business you're in this industry, and I'm not talking about other industries because I'm really not well versed about other industries, but what I do know in this industry, if you get a text or a call, there is no reason. If you get a call and you're busy, fine. You send a text right away. You can have automatic anything nowadays. There is never a reason to miss a call.
I think within 24 hours you need to respond. Because I know you and I differ with that.
We do 100% differ with that.
I think that if you're busy, for me, if I'm in the middle of production or I have my phone on silent because otherwise I'll never get done.
Well,
so I have a 24-hour rule because I also think too with our being a business owner, you also have to have work-life balance.
Well, I have to say, and I'm going to interject with you really quick,
Yeah.
Jackie, is that in one aspect, I do agree with you. You have a very specific product.
Exactly.
Okay? So your product is not mass produced.
Correct.
So therefore, that bride, that veil, or whatever she's having custom made, she will wait for you to call her back.
Yes.
Okay? That's okay.
Yeah.
When we're talking about we're talking about venues today. We're talking
Like
about
vendors,
venues.
yeah.
We're talking about caterers, and we're talking about decorators.
Yeah.
Okay? There is no reason in the world why these people are not responding. Case in point, I get a call I get a lead at 8 o'clock this morning because I check as soon as I wake up. I'm up by 6:30. Check my leads. Got a call. Her and her fiance. I text her back within 5 minutes. I show her my new venue at 11 o'clock, the Barley Room, downtown in the Pabst District. I'm giving myself a plug, which I rarely do.
Shout out Barley Room.
Shout out Barley Room. Showed her and her fiance at 11 a.m. They had, I think, 5 appointments over the weekend. They booked with me. They literally just sent me.
Yeah,
and I'm not
think
saying
you're
that
different. That's a different thing.
it is different, but the fact of the matter is that I responded to her, and as I get all the time from people, wow, you responded to me like as soon as I sent you an email, you like sent me a text right away. So as a venue owner, you should, if you want to increase your sales and you want rather than 50 weddings a year, you want to double that to 100 a year, 120 maybe, 125, you need to respond to the client
With you,
immediately.
With you, I agree immediately because that sets the date. They cannot
Correctly, you're right
pick
about
their
that.
date. Like if they have a date in mind and the venue's not available, fine, they're gonna have to change. But whatever they book, then they can start getting everything else in line. Okay, now we have our venue. Now I can pick out my wedding dress because a lot of people like to have the vibe of that.
I agree.
And then
I
everything
agree.
else falls into place. They're photographers, everything else.
I agree.
So I agree with the venue side of that, business. So how do you think that you acquire clients? Like, do you do wedding shows?
Yeah, how do I acquire clients? That's a very good question, and I was asked this by another venue owner last week, which I wouldn't disclose all my information. I don't like to disclose most of it, but since this is the wedding podcast and this is the wedding files, I'm going to share, how we go about acquiring leads and how we do it in a very quick manner. I mean, very, very quickly, I should say. Most of my venues all my venues that I've opened, I've immediately have never been in debt. Never been in debt. Not even 3 or 4 months into owning the business.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, but yet I've mastered, for me, my concept, to a T of how it would work. And as you know, my businesses are more geared towards affordability. Where somebody doesn't have to spend $20, $30, $40, $50,000 on a wedding if they don't want to.
Yeah.
So, the first thing that really is going to draw business in is social media marketing. And,
so do you spend money on like Facebook ads and Instagram ads? You see that that's beneficial?
Any type of social media marketing that there is, there's a market for your business.
Okay,
locally.
I know about posting and stuff, but I'm saying like, do you
Yes.
Okay.
Facebook advertising.
You see leads off of that?
Number one.
Okay.
Number
Over Instagram?
one. Over everything.
Okay.
Instagram, not so much.
Yeah.
Google ads are great. I'll tell you why. I was against them for a long time, and I spent a lot of money doing it. But I look at long term for anything that I do in my business. And if I spend $100 a week on Google ads, and I spend $400 a month, and I might get a few leads off of it and a few sales. But what it does is it says sponsored, number one, when somebody Googles me.
Yeah.
And number two, paying for Google ads is pushing me higher up in my SEO search engine.
Well,
so
and I think that can be overwhelming for people. So did you teach yourself Google ads, or did you get a Google ads expert?
I actually you have to have somebody very exceptional
Yeah.
in the area of marketing,
Okay.
like you, and my friend Rachel is shout out to you, Rachel. Rachel's amazing, and
lots of shouts
unfortunately,
out-
a lot
shout-outs
of
today.
I have a lot of shout outs today, but unfortunately, Rachel is, I stretch her thin, I drive her crazy, so but
You're not the only one,
I
Rachel.
I know, but she's so
feel you, girl.
she's so exceptional at what she does, and she knows how to execute that market for me.
That's amazing.
So Google and Facebook advertising is fantastic for venues. Okay? The reason I say that is because if I'm on social media and I'm a newly engaged bride and a venue pops up on my feed, what am I doing? I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
I see that cool venue. I'm going to call them. I'm going to email them. I want to see them. I'm thinking about venues. That's all I'm thinking about right now. Where I'm getting married.
Do you ever do styled shoots ever at your places?
No, style shoots would not be advantageous to me. And I don't even feel like, I've done a couple of open houses. Those
Yeah.
are okay. People don't have the time for that stuff
No,
anymore.
anymore.
It's kind of
different.
like,
It's shifted.
it is. People like, I mean,
Even wedding
God.
shows, do you feel like people show up for those like they used to?
Yeah, so we
Okay.
just did a wedding show in Milwaukee, the big wedding expo, and again, the wedding expo for us turned out to be very good. I booked maybe 5 clients from it.
Wow.
Yeah, so this was the first year that I had been to a show, and successfully, it went great. I mean, I had lots of couples coming up to me, and I looked at it this way: even if I didn't have any bookings, they know about my 4 venues now. They know who we are. They have friends that are getting married.
Yeah.
They'll say, "Hey, we saw this venue." That's, to me, is the marketing.
Well, and I
and
think,
there were hundreds of people, and it was fantastic.
and I think too, some of these wedding shows, you never know how they're going to be attended.
Right,
So
right.
you have to just keep doing them and keep figuring out what works
I
for
do.
you.
I do. So I would say that the Wedding Expo is in every city across the country, every state. I would suggest anybody listening, if you are a venue, I definitely recommend the Wedding Expo show.
Yeah.
It's well known. It's national. It's very structured, very organized. But that did well for me. So we have Google, we have Facebook, we have the wedding show once a year or twice a year, and then we have platforms. There are exceptional platforms that are very inexpensive. One of them is called Here Comes the Guide.
Oh,
Exceptional.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
The service is great. Do I get a lot of leads from it? No. The leads that I get from it are quality.
Okay, good.
So, I just
I'd
got
rather
a
have
lead.
5 good leads than 40 leads that don't
1000%.
respond. Because here's the
1000%.
thing too, which I have found. Brides and even some of my stores, they want you to respond right away. Well, they don't respond back. They just leave the email unread. And it's like, then you do a follow-up and it's like, okay, we
And we're
we
gonna
want the same
and
courtesy.
we're gonna get into that
Yeah.
shortly too. So here we are with Here Comes a Guide. Definitely quality. Zola is becoming a very big one. Their platform is great.
Yeah.
You pay per month or per lead. It's only like $1 or something. It's amazing. I think I spend $25, $30 a month on each venue. To me, once again, when I Google myself, when I Google my company, I see Zola right underneath. I mean, all of this is you're creating the hype for your business.
Yeah.
And you're taking your business that might be number 40
Yeah.
and you're bringing it up to here. So that money that I'm spending on marketing and PR is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm spending a quarter of what I would have spent had I owned venues 20 years ago. Had I owned venues 20 years ago, it would cost me $5,000 to take an ad out in a magazine or the back of a publication. So therefore, I look at that and I
Trust
say,
me.
wow, right.
There's been like a handful
Right.
of wedding magazines where I've had friends advertise and they're like, we
Correct.
see
Correct.
no
Correct.
response from.
Exactly.
Which everything has shifted, which everyone's had to shift.
Right. So those are 2 exceptional sites. Then we go to the Wedding Wire and the Knot. Now, I brought this up before. It didn't work well for me, even to the point where I sent where I was sending messages back to people and saying, "Hey, you want a free wedding today with us?" And there was no response.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I
"What's
remember
going on
you
here?"
saying this.
So I am testing it again in my new venue. I did a 6-month. I know, because I'm testing it again.
You know what
But
it
one of the
reminds-
one of the reasons I'm doing that too, now is because they do massive SEO engines.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like
Well,
for
and
that
they
money.
merged with the Knot,
Yes.
correct?
So
where they used
so-
to be separate entities.
Right. So I'm just looking to boost me up higher and higher for my newest venue.
Yeah.
And the leads that I get in for that will transfer to the other venues
So
as well.
basically what you're saying is that the wedding wire and the knot is like someone waking up and saying, I'm never drinking again. I drank too much last night. Well, you know what? I'm trying the wedding wire and the knot again.
I relapsed.
I'm sipping it
I
up.
relapsed.
I'm seeing
I know.
what's happening.
I drank the water. The salesperson got me on the phone. She actually was amazing. And I said, I wouldn't have advertised with you at all, but you're super nice, so you better take great care of
Which goes back to people will buy from your personality.
This is true.
So you got to be a good
If you're
business
nice,
person.
I'll just give you money.
Well, I'm nice. You want my Venmo? Like, you could send me some money over.
You're not that nice.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah, I've seen the other side of you. I'm kidding. So that's really important. That is where the advertising lies. But it's what you do with everything when you get it. It's what you do when you get the lead. Emails. Let me tell you. I tell everybody this. I had a guy this morning. He wanted me to email him something, and he was going to email me back. I said, dude. First of all, you are going to sit in my inbox with the 10,000 other emails that I have. I don't know which ones are real, which ones are bullshit.
You
Bull
can
crap.
say shit. Shit is a fine word.
I
It's
know,
just a
but
word.
I like to keep away from cussing.
Oh,
Anyway,
I love cussing.
so yeah, I know you do. So I'm like, email's great. So somebody emails me, if there's a phone number, text that person. 95% of people nowadays like the text.
I literally just had a store text me this morning placing an order.
In a text, right?
In a text, which, normally I'd be like, put in an email so I can say organized.
No,
but it's like,
no.
I'm not going to say no. Like, I'm
No.
like, yep, I got you. I'll send
And
your
honestly, the way we're moving into the future right now, texting is the best, because when a bride texts me and she says, Clay, you told me that I could set up at 8:00 in the morning. And I said, oh, did I say that? Guess what? To find her email might be impossible. But to look at
Especially
her
with the
on my
spam,
phone
my
and
God.
scroll down
Yeah.
and say, oh, yeah, I told her 8:00 in the morning. Perfect. There you
Yeah.
are. Everything you do is right there in front of you on your phone. So texting the client is the most important. If they don't text you back, they might not be a texter. They might be busy. They might be working. Then follow up with a call. Not that day. Don't agitate them. Let a day go by. Then call them. 50% of the people that don't respond to me in a text, I end up getting them on the phone and booking an appointment with them.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay? So then after that, if you've exhausted those two, then send your email. But actually, to be honest with you, a lot of times I'll text somebody and say, hey, I just sent you information in an email, but I'm texting them.
Yeah.
Because
No,
I want to
that-
get her. Because a
that-
lot of times they see that email right away, and then they're like, okay, let me book an appointment with you this weekend.
Or emails honestly can get lost in spam. There's times where orders have come in and they say, oh, I put that order in 3 weeks ago. And I always do a confirmation email to say, this is your estimated ship date.
Right.
Stuff is like going to spam. Or
1,000%.
I'm not checking my spam email box every day.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
And-
crazy.
And and there's questions that I ask the client, is it for your wedding? Is it for a quinceanera? What is it for? Through a text. Are you just starting your search? How many well, we'd like to see the venue next week. I said, and I say, okay, you're scheduling appointments for that day. I want to be your last person.
I want to know.
If I could be your 4:00 and you've seen 5 venues before your 4:00, I want to be your last one.
That's how it is with wedding dress shopping too. It's either the first or the last appointment. It's not, I have found as a consultant in the past.
You did, okay.
Never in the middle.
Right.
So I would always, when I worked at Miss Ruby, I would say to them, hey, if you want to come back at the end of the day, I wouldn't want them to go out the door, but if they were going to be out the door, but they love to dress, but they're like, my mom wants me to try on, blah, 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 whatever, I would stay after hours.
Okay.
I'm like, come back at 5 o'clock. Let's try it on
Yeah.
again. And that the amount of sales I would make after hours because there was no one else in the store but them. It was amazing. So I think you have to also follow your client's body language and not like
Right.
push them into a
Right.
sale for something, which leads me to what is the craziest showing that you've ever had?
Oh my God. Can we hold that thought for 1 minute and let me just say one thing?
No, I want to know
Can we
right
get
now.
rid of arrogant venue directors? If you are a venue owner and you're listening to my podcast, please look at your team, talk to your team, have a fake couple come in and see how
That's a good idea.
your employee treats them. Because I can tell you, I don't know how many clients I see that say, oh my God, we were just with the rudest person. Or sometimes the most racist person.
Ugh.
Because we're in the Midwest.
Well,
and unfortunately
you can't
some
escape
things
that.
Sometimes that happens. But anyway, question again. Ask me.
Okay, so
Hi.
I want to know what's the craziest showing you've ever had? Like, is there anything off the top of your head that you're like, oh my God?
Oh my God. Okay. So Saturday afternoon, I don't think they're going to be listening to my podcast. Three people show up, okay, at my wedding venue.
Oh.
Hold on.
See where
Two
this is
guys and a girl. Super hipsters, super cool. Probably, I think they lived in Bayview. Really cool. So, of course, chatting with them, and I'm thinking, okay, this is the groom's, the groom-in-law, not the groom-in-law, the
brother-in-law
brother-in-law or
Friend.
the best man,
Yeah.
best man. So I look at the girl and I say, congratulations. How did you propose? And I look at the guy and I didn't know which one was the fiance. Well, one says at the lake and the other one says, yeah, it was a beautiful day at the lake. I'm like, okay, all right. Oh God, Clay, you got to figure this out. How are you going to ask? Because they're not telling me any information.
Yeah.
Then I asked them another question. Well, how long have you been engaged? And one says, well, I think it's been about 3 years. So when he says, I think it's been about 3 years, I'm thinking, well, that's the brother-in-law or the, whatever, because he's saying 3 years. And the other guy says, yeah, it's been 2.5 years. I'm like, okay, so 2.5 years. So one doesn't know and one knows. This is super confusing. So then we sit down. I show them the space, etc. We sit down. Every question I ask,
Both of them were answering.
both the guys would answer. I am perplexed.
So how did you figure it out?
Well, I said to them, can you please text me your full names? And as I'm doing this, I'm making sure both my eyes are looking at all three of them so that I'm not leaving anybody out. And I said, when you leave today, can you text me your full names, your emails, and the date you want, and I'll send you a contract.
What if all three?
I haven't gotten a message
I think
from
it's
them
a
yet.
throuple situation.
I think
It's
it
like
is a
hot
throuple.
thing.
I made them feel comfortable.
Well, you should. Yeah, whatever anyone wants to do with their
I
life.
was hoping
fine.
it would be a quadruple, and then we can all get married at my venue.
Oh, there you go.
But anyway, it was definitely very interesting.
Is that the first time you've ever had a throuple?
That is the
Well,
first
I should
time.
say, is that the first time you've ever had a throuple in your venue? You don't have to talk about your personal life.
We're not doing the sex files, Jackie, you dirty little girl. Anyway, no, it is the first time I've had that in the venue. It was interesting. No, but I did have a couple. They were total swingers, and the groom.
How'd you know? Did they show up with a pineapple?
The groom was messing around with the other groomsmen. This was in my first venue, and they were sleeping together, but the bride knew, and they were getting married, and for some reason, Clay just gets so close with everybody that they even tell me their bra size, their underwear size, everything. I mean,
you become a
I
part
know
of the
everything.
swingers?
It's like being a hairdresser in this business.
Did
I don't
you
know.
become a swinger with them?
I guess I make people feel really comfortable.
You became a swinger with them?
No,
Oh.
the couple, the groom was sleeping with the with
Well,
one of
when
the
you start
groomsmen.
talking about
They
bra
were
sizes
sleeping
and
together,
underwear
and
sizes.
then they were getting married, and they told me the whole story when they were drunk. But they said, please don't tell the parents. And I'm like, well, I'm not walking up to your parents and saying, oh, by the way, your new son-in-law is sleeping with his best friend. So randomly weird things happen.
I love all the randomness.
It is, the randomness is crazy, and you know, there's just crazy things that happen in this business. You know, getting back to you know, the sales end of it, and of course there's so much more we can talk about in an episode, but the follow-up is key. Follow-up is key, and I can't stress it enough. That's how you build your business. If you're quick, if you're fast. We live in high-tech times. There is no reason you can't have AI.
Times. Say that
You
10
can
times
have
fast.
AI respond to people nowadays. I mean, it is, you can, you know, buy yourself a robot and have them respond to your clients quickly. I'm just saying that the quicker the quicker you respond, the more money you're going to make in this business.
I agree.
And when you set the precedence of contacting somebody right away, they get such an amazing feeling about your company right away.
Absolutely.
They're like, wow, these people respond. This is what I want. I'm getting married.
Well,
So,
because I think the wedding is all about the bride and the groom.
Yeah,
And so you
yeah.
have to show up for them and be their support.
1,000%. Yeah,
So,
I
awesome.
agree. I agree. So, you know, so those are the platforms with marketing and sales, etc. And we'll talk more in other episodes about actually building a business. You know, how do we start a decor business? How do we start a catering company? You know, how do we, you know, go from one venue to opening up 2 or 3 and 4? You know, how do we successfully do it and not lose money? And, you know, stay consistent with your original concept, and that's really what it is in the business. Consistency is what builds your brand with anything.
Great information.
What?
Great information.
I know, it is. Oh, I have a question for you. Hold on. I have a question for you. It's question time, Jacqueline.
Okay.
A bride calls you 2 days before the wedding. You're her coordinator.
Okay.
And she says, Jackie, I have second thoughts. I heard the groom was speaking with another woman on TikTok.
Oh, this is a hard one for me.
She spent umpteen thousands of dollars on her wedding.
This is a hard one for me.
It's Saturday afternoon. It's Thursday. She hears this. She's in tears. She calls her coordinator first because she doesn't know what to do.
So I've had a situation with a real life friend years ago that was like having cold feet, didn't want to do it. And, you know, I sat with her and we weighed the pros and cons of, you know, what to do. And I said, at the end of the day, this is going to be the rest of your life. So this has to be your decision. I will be there and listen to you and listen to your concerns. That's one thing. When you have hard evidence of cheating, which I personally think if you're talking to another woman, you're having some type of feelings for that person if you're willing to risk your relationship. So for me, cheating is a hard pass. I would be done. Before I dated my my boyfriend now, this previous guy I was dating, I ended up breaking things off with him because I found him commenting on women's TikToks saying, like, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, all this stuff.
He was commenting on my TikToks.
Yeah. And so I remember him calling me and I just said to him, listen, I don't think we're on the same page as dating. Like, I date with intention. I don't just date to date. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I saw you leaving comments on other women's TikToks, and I think you should pursue that if that's something you want to do.
So what would you tell the bride?
I would tell the bride.
Give me 2 things you would tell them.
I would say you have to, if you're personally okay to live with him speaking to other women, that's your decision. For me personally, I couldn't. So I would
agree.
And I would follow your gut. If you feel like you don't trust this man, do not take vows and get married.
If it depends what the guy was saying on TikTok, and if he's saying, "Hey, you're pretty," which he actually was. This is a true story.
Yeah.
This happened. the bride canceled her wedding.
Yeah.
And
I would-
she happened to call her coordinator, and I knew her coordinator well, and I spoke to her as well, and I said, you know what? I would do
the
it. I
same
would do what
thing.
your coordinator told you, and the wedding was canceled.
Yeah.
And she rebooked with me 2 years later.
With a
so
different-
with somebody
with a
else, it
different
was
group. Good for her.
Yeah, this was
That-
this was quite a few years ago.
But
so
that takes courage to do that.
it
So,
does,
bravo
it does,
to
but
her.
it does. And I told her too. I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to reserve a credit for you. So I reserved a credit, and she got remarried, and she's happy now. So anyway, things do happen, and I know that we got to wrap up this episode. But this has definitely been fun. There's just a lot of information. There's so much, and it's endless. And we will talk about so much more about building a business within the wedding industry.
And we have a lot of more stories to
A
tell.
lot of more stories to tell. Anyway, the Wedding Files. Catch us on any podcast and catch
Social
us
media,
on YouTube.
make sure to follow us. YouTube, over 20,000 viewers. That is insane.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky, so
We
we're
are
pretty
lucky.
excited.
Yes. So make
Spread
sure
the
to
word.
subscribe, like, follow, all that good stuff.
Awesome. Sounds
Thank
great.
you.